Hello everyone, welcome to the political science tutorial. This is the one place to learn everything about political science. This channel will help you all with all the concepts of political science as well as theories in both English and Hindi. So spread a word regarding this channel. Hello and welcome to this new tutorial. Today we are starting a new series on Constituent Assembly, and in this series we are going to talk about composition and functioning of our Constituent Assembly as well as preamble and salient features of the Indian constitutions. So before we begin with the composition and the functioning of Indian Constitution, we have to understand a very important milestone in building and understanding the entire argument about the composition and functioning of Constituent Assembly. Therefore, we need to talk about the historical background, especially the two very important set of events which has shaped and reshaped the entire working and functioning as well as compositions of Indian constitutions. And these events have greatly influenced our constitution as well as the polity. And these events are: the first is the company rule, which starts from 1773 and eventually ends in 1858. And second one is the crown rule, which begins from 1858 and ended eventually in 1947. So my focus will be on these two very important events, and therefore we'll take first very important event, the company rule. Now coming back to the company rule, which started from 1773 to 1858, and this rule is again divided into four most important acts, and I will talk about this act more in detail. So first we have is the Regulating Act of 1773, then we have Pitt's India Act of 1784, third we have Charter Act of 1833, and last we have Charter Act of 1853. Now all these four acts will help us to understand how the company carried out their organization, their functioning in India from 1773 to 1858. And once I finish with this, then we shall move to the Crown Rule from 1858 to 1947. आप सबका स्वागत है इस नए ट्यूटोरियल में, और आज के इस ट्यूटोरियल में हम न्यू सीरीज शुरू कर रहे हैं बेसिकली ऑन इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, लर्निंग अबाउट कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली, कंपोजिशन, फंक्शन, प्रीएम्बल एंड सैलिएंट फीचर ऑफ इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. सो बिफोर वी बिगिन विद द रियल फंक्शनिंग एंड कंपोजिशन ऑफ इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली, हमें सबसे पहले थोड़ा हिस्ट्री में जाना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि हमारा जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन बना वो भले आफ्टर इंडिपेंडेंस उसको बनाया गया हो, लेकिन उसका जो फाउंडेशन है वो फाउंडेशन हिस्ट्री के कुछ ऐसे इवेंट में हमें मिलता है, वहाँ से वो बिल्ड कर बाद में तैयार हो. उसका जो फाउंडेशन है वो हिस्ट्री में है, और इसीलिए हिस्ट्री में दो बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट ऐसे इवेंट रहे जिसके कारण इवेंचुअली आगे बढ़कर हमारा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन तैयार हुआ. तो ये जो दो इवेंट थे, तो पहला इवेंट था द कंपनी रूल. उस दौरान कंपनी, ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी बेसिकली यहाँ पर अपना राज करते थे, तो उनका जो फंक्शनिंग था, उनका जो कंपोजिशन था वो कैसा था. और दूसरा जो इवेंट था वो था क्राउन रूल का इवेंट. बेसिकली आफ्टर रिवोल्ट ऑफ 1857 पूरा जो पावर था वो क्राउन के हाथों दे दिया गया. तो उस टाइम पर क्राउन ने कैसे रूल किया इंडिया के ऊपर, तो वो हम 1858 टू 1947 के अंतर्गत देखेंगे. सो जो पहला जो आता है द फर्स्ट इवेंट, बिकॉज ये जो दो इवेंट है, दिस बेसिकली इन्फ्लुएंस्ड आवर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन एज वेल एज पॉलिटिक्स विच हैपेंड लेटर ऑन. सो पहले हम लोग द कंपनी रूल के बारे में बात करेंगे. और जो कंपनी का जो रूल था वो 1773 से 1858 तक चला. उस रूल के दौरान चार ऐसे बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट एक्ट्स को इंट्रोड्यूस किया ब्रिटिश ने, और ये एक्ट्स एक्चुअली प्लेड अ वेरी इम्पोर्टेंट रोल to put the foundation of functioning of a state based on constitutional values and constitutional norms. और इसीलिए हम लोग इस 4 इवेंट्स को, 4 एक्ट्स को बहुत बारीकी से समझेंगे और जानेंगे। तो फिर चलिए शुरू करते हैं। फर्स्ट वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट एक्ट अंडर द कंपनी रूल, that is regulating act of 1773. So this act is of a great constitutional importance. Now here there are 3 very important aspects when it comes to understanding what exactly the regulating act of 1773 talks about. Well, first, it was the first step taken by the British government to control and regulate the affairs of the East India Company in India. So this is the first very important act, and what this act basically says, that with this act, this was the first step taken by the British government basically to control and regulate all the affairs of the East India Company in India. In short, whatever East India Company is going to do, whatever issues which are related to East India companies would be especially related to the governance, revenue, security, everything would be controlled and regulated by the British government sitting in England on behalf of East India Company. That means with this act, all the activities of East India Company would be controlled and regulated by the British government. ये जो पहला पॉइंट है अंडर दिस रेगुलेशन ऑफ 1773, इसमें ये कहते हैं कि जो भी ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी का अफेयर्स रहेगा, उसका की फंक्शनिंग रहेगी, रिलेटेड टू रेवेन्यू रहेगा, रिलेटेड टू सिक्योरिटी रहेगा, वो पूरा जो कंट्रोल है वो ब्रिटिश गवर्नमेंट अपने हाथों में लेगी, और दे विल कंट्रोल देम एज वेल एज दे विल रेगुलेट द अफेयर्स ऑफ द ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी इन इंडिया। सो कहने का सिंपल मतलब है कि इस रेगुलेशन के अंतर्गत पूरा जो अफेयर रहेगा, कामकाज रहेगा ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी का, वो पूरा ब्रिटिश सरकार देखेगी। सेकेंड वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट ऑफ दिस एक्ट ऑफ 1773 इज दैट इट recognized for the first time the political and administrative functions of the company. So under this act, the British government finally recognized the political as well as administrative function of this company. That means they will give them some leverage, they will give them some importance, some freedom when it comes to administration as well as the political functioning of that company. Because here we need to understand that company, although was in power in India, that company was answerable to the British government, and therefore British government bought this regulation of 1773 in order to regulate and control the affairs of the British East India Company in India, as well as they also recognize and understood the importance of political and administrative functioning of the company. दूसरा जो बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट मुद्दा यहाँ पर आता है कि ब्रिटिश सरकार को ये समझ में भी आ गया कि ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी को उनके पॉलिटिकल और एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव फंक्शंस भी होते हैं, और वो फंक्शन जानना बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है और रिकग्नाइज करना बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है, क्योंकि ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ द ब्रिटिश गवर्नमेंट ये जो ब्रिटिश ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी था वो उनके बिहाफ पे यहाँ पे अपना एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन चलाते थे, और उनकी कुछ अपने पॉलिटिकल पॉलिसीज़ भी वो इम्प्लीमेंट करते थे इंडिया में। सो इसीलिए द ब्रिटिश पार्लियामेंट में फाइनली दे रिकॉग्नाइज द पॉलिटिकल एज वेल एज एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव फंक्शनिंग of the company. And the third very important point under this regulation act is that it laid the foundation of a central administration in India. With this regulation of 1773, British government laid down the foundation of a centralized administration. That means everything would be centrally controlled by the Governor General of India, the representative of a British government in India. They do not wanted to decentralize, they do not wanted to give the power to local authorities or local राजा या महाराजा। जो भी टेरिटरी उनके अंतर्गत आती थी उसका पूरा जो दारोमदार रहेगा, उसका जो पूरा रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी रहेगी वो पूरी सेंट्रलाइज्ड हो जाएगी. एंड दिस इज़ द थर्ड वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट विच दे इंट्रोड्यूस्ड in the Regulation Act of 1773. So this is in short what the Regulating Act of 1773 is all about. Now let us understand the most important features of this act. Now whatever we have discussed about, it was basically a baseline of what this act is all about. Now we will study the important features, what exactly British government wanted to carry out the affairs of the East India Company, or how they want to govern and control the East India Company. So the first very important feature here is that it designated the governor of Bengal as a governor general of Bengal and created an executive council of 4 members to assist him in the entire affairs. Now we need to understand here that the first feature of this Regulating Act of 1773 is that for the first time they designated the governor of Bengal as Governor General of Bengal. Earlier the governor of Bengal was just known as Governor of Bengal, whereas now they have promoted him to one step ahead, and now this governor would be called as Governor General of Bengal. So this is the first very important feature of this Regulating Act of 1773 in order to help British government to carry out the functioning and working of East India Company in India. Now with this they also created an executive council of 4 members, and all these 4 members will assist the Governor General of Bengal to control and carry out the working of the East India Company. And the first such Governor General of British East India Company in India was Lord Warren Hastings. So he became the first Governor General of Bengal as well as Governor General of India of that particular time अंडर द रेगुलेटिंग एक्ट ऑफ 1773. अभी हमें ये समझना यहाँ पर है कि जो फीचर्स है, उसका जो पहला जो फीचर है इस रेगुलेटिंग एक्ट का, वो सिंपल है कि यहाँ पर उन्होंने जो पहले गवर्नर रहा करता था बंगाल को, उसको प्रमोट किया और उसको नया टाइटल दे दिया एज अ गवर्नर जनरल ऑफ बंगाल. और गवर्नर जनरल ऑफ बंगाल के अलावा उन्होंने एक एग्जीक्यूटिव काउंसिल भी बनाई जहाँ पे 4 मेंबर उसके रहेंगे, और ये चारों मेंबर गवर्नर जनरल को असिस्ट करेंगे, हेल्प करेंगे बेसिकली टू कैरी आउट द वर्किंग एंड फंक्शनिंग ऑफ एंटायर बंगाल. और सबसे पहला जो गवर्नर जनरल बना इस ट्रिटी के अंतर्गत या इस एक्ट के अनुसार, तो वो था वॉरेन हेस्टिंग. सो वॉरेन हेस्टिंग बिकेम द फर्स्ट गवर्नर जनरल अंडर दिस न्यू Regulating Act of 1773, and this is the first feature of this act. Second very important feature of this act is this, that it made the governor of Bombay and Madras presidencies subordinate to the Governor General of Bengal. Now this is very important. So second very important change with this Regulating Act 1773 they introduce is that the governors of Bombay and Madras presidency will be subordinate to the Governor General of Bengal. That means now this both Bombay as well as Madras governors will be accountable to the Governor General of Bengal. And therefore we need to understand that both these presidencies lost their independence. Earlier Madras, Bombay and Bengal, they were independent presidencies answerable to the British government directly. But now with this act, both Madras and Bombay governor have to answer and they have to be answerable to the Governor General of Bengal. So this is the second very important feature of this act of 1773. दूसरा जो महत्वपूर्ण फीचर है इस एक्ट का, कि जो मद्रास और बॉम्बे के जो गवर्नर्स रहा करते थे उनका पावर छीना गया और उनको सबऑर्डिनेट किया, और सबऑर्डिनेट होने के कारण अभी उनको जवाबदेही जो होगी वो गवर्नर जनरल ऑफ बंगाल को देनी पड़ेगी। इसका मतलब यही है दैट द गवर्नर्स ऑफ मद्रास और गवर्नर ऑफ बॉम्बे, उनका जो पावर था वो उनसे छीना गया और उनको गवर्नर जनरल ऑफ बंगाल के नीचे लाया गया। सो हमें ये समझना है यहाँ पर कि मद्रास का गवर्नर और बॉम्बे का गवर्नर अभी गवर्नर जनरल ऑफ बंगाल को आंसरेबल करेंगे। एंड दिस इज़ अनदर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फीचर ऑफ रेगुलेटिंग एक्ट ऑफ 1773. Third very important features of this act is that it provided for the establishment of a Supreme Court at Calcutta, and this Supreme Court is comprising of one Chief Justice and 3 other judges. Very simple point. So under this act they established a Supreme Court of Calcutta in 1774, and they appointed one Chief Justice and 3 other judges. So तीसरा जो बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट पॉइंट है कि इस एक्ट के अनुसार उन्होंने सुप्रीम कोर्ट की स्थापना की कैलकाटा में या कोलकाता में आप कहिए 1774 में, और वहाँ पर एक चीफ जस्टिस को अपॉइंट किया और 3 अदर जजेस. So this was another very important point, that through this feature, through this act, they introduced judiciary in their functioning and working of Constituent Assembly. Next very important point, number 4, or the point or feature number 4 is it prohibited the servants of company from engaging in any private trade or accepting presents or bribes from the natives. Very important. So through this act they also introduced this provision that no servant of the company, anybody who's working for the company, will not engage in any private trade. That means the trade will be carried out entirely by the East India Company. No individual, no private trader would be allowed, especially of that person who is serving in the company, as well as they will not accept any presents, as well as they will not bribe or they will not take bribe from any native. So this is how British government introduced the centralized system of conducting all the trade only by British East India Company. चौथा जो पॉइंट यहाँ पर बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट रोल प्ले करता है वो है कि ये एक्ट के अनुसार कोई भी ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी का सर्वेंट जो रहेगा वो किसी भी प्राइवेट ट्रेड में इन्वॉल्व नहीं रहेगा। मतलब वो कोई भी प्राइवेट ट्रेड नहीं कर सकता है। अगर उसको ट्रेडिंग करनी है तो उसको ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी के थ्रू ही करनी पड़ेगी। उसके अलावा कोई भी सर्वेंट किसी भी राजा महाराजा या किसी नेटिव से कुछ भी गिफ्ट एक्सेप्ट नहीं करेगा और ब्राइब भी नहीं लेगा। सो एवरीथिंग विल बी कैरीड आउट एंटायरली एंड सेंट्रलाइज सिस्टम इन ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी. और जो लास्ट वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट है, पॉइंट नंबर 5th, द फीचर्स ऑफ दिस एक्ट इज दैट इट स्ट्रेंथन द कंट्रोल ऑफ द ब्रिटिश गवर्नमेंट ओवर द कंपनी by requiring the court of directors. Basically the court of directors are the governing body of the company. So this court of director has to report of its revenue, civil and military affairs in India. So basically the last very important feature of this act, of regulating act of 1773, is that the court of directors, basically all those directors who are been appointed for this East India Company, who are responsible for carrying out functioning and governing of this company, they have to report on its revenue collection, on its civil issues as well as military affairs in India to the British government. That means they cannot take anything for granted. They cannot just operate, they cannot just carry out the entire trade, or for that matter the governing and functioning, without prior informing and taking permission from the British government. So basically under this act, British government strengthened their control over the company by making them subordinate, by making them a very important partner in the entire process, and for that they have to report on its revenue collection to the British government. They have to report on their civil issues as well as matters when it comes to the British East India Company, as well as if at all they are involved into any military affairs in India, they must report it back to the government of British. और जो लास्ट वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट है अंडर दिस फीचर यही है कि ब्रिटिश सरकार ने कंपनी को कंट्रोल करने के लिए उनकी जो कोर्ट ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स थे, मतलब ऑल जो इम्पोर्टेंट लोग होते हैं जो ये कंपनी चलाते हैं, उनको ये भी ताकीद किया कि उन सभी लोगों को ब्रिटिश सरकार को रेवेन्यू के बारे में, सिविल अफेयर्स के बारे में एज वेल एज मिलिट्री अफेयर्स के बारे में सब कुछ ब्रिटिश गवर्नमेंट को रिपोर्ट करना पड़ेगा। मतलब वो अपने आप कोई भी या कुछ भी डिसीजन कभी ले नहीं सकते थे। सो दिस इज़ हाउ द ब्रिटिश गवर्नमेंट introduced this act in order to carry out smooth functioning of British East India Company in India. And I hope you have really understood this part of the topic. In my next tutorial, we shall talk about a second very important act which British government introduced to carry forward or to carry out company's rule is Pitt's India Act of 1784. So I will see you in next tutorial. Till then, take care. और जाते जाते ये भी बोल दूंगा कि please subscribe to my channel, share these videos with all your friends, let the benefits of these tutorials reach out to the maximum students as well as maximum people who really want to learn and understand the concept, theories, all about political science. So thank you very much for watching this. I'll see you soon in next tutorial. Till then, take care.